An American engine on my layout? I don't think so. But can this Tri-ang Intercontinental save this Tri-ang Britannia from the scrapyard? Let's find out. Hey guys, welcome back to Proper Chuffed. My name's Hilton and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. But that's half the fun of this, isn't it? If you are new here, please consider subscribing. And if you enjoyed this video, drop me a thumbs up. If you're returning, it's good to see you again. Thanks for coming back. So here's an interesting story for you. When I picked up my first train set in 25 years, which featured on my first video, I was also gifted a Tri-ang Britannia at the time. This loco was, for me, very special because it was my first steam loco, technically, and it ran really well initially until it decided to, basically kick the bucket. The valve gear just basically blew up in a rather dramatic fashion on one running session, and I've tried to fix it multiple times. However, to no avail. So sadly, I retired it to a box thinking, okay, there's no way I'm going to find a Tri-ang Britannia for spares in South Africa at this point in time. I mean, these locos are now close to, 60 years old, which makes them, pretty hard to find. But we've been given a gift from the model train gods, if you will. We've got a Tri-ang Intercontinental locomotive. Now, I didn't even know Tri-ang made intercontinental locomotives. But they obviously tried to sort of tap into either the US market or bring the US market to the UK at the time when they built these locos. So what I've looked at in sort of both of these locos is I've sort of worked out that basically it's exactly the same chassis, the running chassis. And I can essentially take the parts of Britannia that I know are working and I've worked on and put them onto the chassis of the Intercontinental, and potentially I can get my Britannia running again. And this is a really exciting prospect for me because I do love this locomotive very much. So we're going to kick this off. I've already deconstructed both of these locos previously, just to sort of work out whether this is feasible. So where we kick off now is sort of after the deconstruction. I hope you guys enjoy this. It should be interesting to see whether we can actually get Britannia back on the line again. I would very much like to. So enjoy. Okie dokes, here we are. Two very old Tri-ang locomotives, both of them looking like they're in a total state. Before I begin, I just want to say thank you to Rinka from the model train shop for gifting me this old Tri-ang Intercontinental. He thought it might be interesting for the YouTube channel. So very much appreciate that. And this should be an interesting project. Now let me explain what I need to do. Essentially, the Tri-ang Hornby body is pretty messed up, as you can see from that valve gear. Now previously what happened was there's a let me get these cables out of the way. There's a plastic plate here that kind of holds the valve gear in position on this side, on each side of the wheels. And what happened was this piece on this side actually broke. Let me see if I've got it somewhere nearby. Yeah, there it is. So that broke, and previously I think the owner of this locomotive tried to fix it with some kind of glue. That didn't work. And I also tried to fix it with glue and it didn't work. Now, what it should be doing is sitting right about there, and that's not happening because that plastic bracket is broken now. So the other thing would be that this front cylinder here is also broken. Now, unfortunately, you can't really see it, but ideally that area there within the cylinder should be separated into two parts. However, the gear seems to have broken through and separated it, created one massive hole. So the problem is when the pistons are moving, they just scrape against each other in the front and they get locked up, and then it seems to sort of disconnect and push out this whole system here. So I thought it was a goner. Honestly, I was quite excited about this locomotive when I first got it because as you did see in that video, it did run. However, I kind of put it on the shelf and decided it wasn't going to work after many attempts to fix it. And this really was my first attempt at like model locomotive repairs. But this Tri-ang Intercontinental has given us a new lease on life. And my intention is to essentially move everything that was on here internally, so the motor and the smoke generator, across onto this transcontinental platform. If I look at the wheels alone, they're already in much better condition. The only thing that's required here is a bit of a cleanup because, as you can see, there's a lot of oxidization that's built up on this valve gear, and there's a bit of rust here, which is all going to need a bit of a cleanup. I think many of you might be watching this video and thinking, what the hell is even the point of this? This thing should be thrown away immediately. But I thought this was a rare gift from the model train gods and I couldn't pass it up. So I decided it was worth a tackle. It might not work. It's just an attempt. But I'd really like to get this Britannia up and running again. So first things first, let's take the motor off the transcontinental. With the motor off, this should be fairly simple. What I need to do now is attach the the Britannia's engine, motor engine, onto this and attach the smoke generator. Now the smoke generator is a funny little thing. If you haven't ever seen inside one of these, this is what it looks like. I think after so many years, it's amazing that this was actually still running when I first powered up the loco. There's obviously just some residual sort of oil sitting in there. Anyways, that's what she looks like, and she uses this little gear here to sort of create the chuff-chuff billows of smoke as she runs along the track. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to disconnect this wire here. This is the base wire, I believe, which will be the same one that powers the bottom of the connection. This all sort of fits together like that. I'll give you a view from the other side. This fits together there, so that when the wheels turn, yeah, it should lock itself into place. There we go, nicely locked in there. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to solder this wire to the front of that there. Okay, a brief and quick explanation while my solder warms up. Essentially what I'm doing is using these helping hands here, which are basically essential to a solo solderer. I'm using them to hold the wire here and touching that to the contact point on the front of the smoke generator, and I will heat up that solder there that already exists on the smoke generator to just get it nice and warm, and then hopefully solder this connection onto here, and we should be good, as that should close the circuit. The other connection is at the bottom of the smoke generator unit itself. Before I start, please note I am not a seasoned solderer. I've only learned in the past few months how to do this myself, so please forgive any soldering ugliness. That should be it. Rather messy affair. On closer inspection, I realized that this long screw actually goes straight through the middle of this smoke generator and attaches to the base, or to the body, I guess. Chassis. So the next step is now going to be to open up this base plate here so that we can access the small connection point on the inside there and solder this wire to that plate. Essentially, we'll be attaching this point to that point there, just like that. The difficulty, obviously, is that this feeds through the bottom here, so it'll just require us to kind of find an interesting angle to solder it at. That should be that. That was incredibly messy and I need to work on my soldering. I do apologize. With the solder now on, it's time to attach the engine, which I've taken from the Britannia, and lock that in on this side here. Does fit like that. Obviously the connection from this side of the wheels goes directly through the chassis. So all that's required is that this connection here, which comes in from the right hand side, to connect there with the brushes. Just like that. Now we're all wired up. This wire shouldn't have anything to do actually at this point. Everything is connected, so let's test it on the rolling road. Okay guys, so she's all wired up at this point. I have secured the motor to it. I have also reattached the base pickup plate and cleaned those contact points. So we're going to put her on the rolling road now. Now this wire, don't worry about it. This is essentially a dead wire as it was used for the light bulbs on the American or intercontinental locomotive. As you can see, still very dirty. I'm yet to clean up all the running gear and the wheels, but I'll get to that if it shows some signs of life. So we'll slap her on the rolling road quickly. Perhaps that one would be better. This middle one is not a pickup. With the old Tri-angs, I believe that middle one was to help them get around corners, so it was actually slightly lifted above the level of the rail, if you can see there. So that's actually not a contact point. But let's see if she shows signs of life. The engine is turning. Oh, here we go, chaps. She's alive, albeit barely. Wheels need a clean. Oh, and look at that. The smoke generator is working. Come on, girl. There you go. Oh, that's good to see. How delightful. I am so glad to see her alive again. She's coming back to life. Such a strong smell, that smoke. It's very nice though, weirdly enough. I cannot believe it. She's alive. Okay, so I'm going to clean up her wheels and clean up this gear. Right, let's clean up this running gear. Right, so the next thing I need to do is just replace this intercontinental front bogie here with the original Britannia's one, which obviously looks much better and doesn't feature a cow catcher. Just realized the other thing with this is I'm going to have to replace the rear bogie, simply because the Britannia actually has a connection point there and the Intercontinental has one there. So we're just going to have to replace that too. That's that. Right. So let's put her all back together then. That should be, in theory, that. It's an awful position because the smoke box dart is right here and you tend to sort of grind the screwdriver up against it, so I'm just being very careful. She's now on the rolling road and we can test her out. That's absolutely delightful. She's just come off the front there. But as you can see, she's screaming. So let's put her on the track and put her through her paces. Well guys, there you have it. Britannia is alive and I am over the moon about it. I don't know what it is about this locomotive that has had such a sort of fixation for me. I know I've never mentioned it before, but it's just because it was kind of almost a sadness for me that I could never get it repaired. But thanks to that intercontinental Tri-ang, or transcontinental, I'm not sure, the fact that we were able to bring it back to life using its parts, thank goodness for American locomotives, hey? You know, she's not a particularly detailed loco. If we look at her up close, I do hope that's focusing for you. She's got a lot of, you know, plastic molding on her. And I think what would be really cool in the future, apologies, what would be really cool in the future would be to really take her down to her base paint and redo the whole thing. Kind of weather her up and add new handrails and all sorts of bits and bobs to kind of give her a sort of modern take. Whether that's worth the money or effort that goes into it, I'm not sure. I certainly would like to get her nameplates at some point because she looks quite naked without them. But it's just really cool to be able to revive something like this. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. And until the next time, keep your engines fired and stay on track. And I'll see you soon. All the best.